What if the fast food chain that built its entire empire on being cheap, quick, and reliable has quietly become none of those things and is still charging you more every single time you walk through the door? That is not a small accusation. But by the time you have heard everything in this video, you will understand exactly why millions of people in the UK have already started walking away, and why the ones still going back might be doing it purely out of habit rather than any real reason to stay. Before we get into all of it, if you have ever had a McDonald's experience that felt nothing like what they advertise, tap the like button right now. Subscribe so you catch every video we put out, and share this one with someone who is still spending money there every week without realizing what has changed. You sharing this is the only way this kind of information actually reaches the people who need it most. Now let's go. Let's start with something that happened so quietly most people never even noticed. From the 14th of July 2026, the wrap of the day, one of the last genuinely affordable items on the UK menu, disappears from the counter entirely. Walk up to the till, order it, and depending on which wrap you choose, you are now paying somewhere between $4.49 and $5.79. The exact same wrap, the exact same kitchen, the exact same person making it. The only thing that changed is whether or not you have the McDonald's app open on your phone. If you have the app, you still get it for around $2.49. If you do not, you pay more than double. McDonald's confirmed the change directly and did not try to spin it as anything other than what it is. But here is what that actually means in plain terms. This is not a reward for loyal customers. It is a financial penalty for anyone who would rather not hand over their location data, order history, and spending patterns every time they want a wrap for lunch. The discount did not move to the app because it is more convenient there. It moved to the app because the app is what gives McDonald's something valuable in return. You get a slightly cheaper wrap. They get a detailed profile of every purchase you have ever made, where you were when you made it, and how often you come back. That trade-off used to be invisible. Now it has a price tag on it, and that price tag is over £2 every time you do not play along. And this is not a one-off decision. It is part of a pattern that runs through almost everything McDonald's has done in the UK over the past few years, quietly moving deals behind screens, locking customers into systems that benefit the company far more than the people using them, and doing it all in ways that are easy to miss until you lay them all out side by side like this. The Food for Thought scheme is another example. For years, parents could load up a kid's meal for $2.99 through the app. No fuss, no queue negotiation with a tired child behind you. Just a reliable, affordable meal that fitted easily into a weekly routine. From the 22nd of May this year, that changed. Instead of a standalone meal for $2.99, the free item only unlocks after you have already spent $5 or more on the rest of your order. McDonald's own terms make this explicit. There is no version of the new arrangement where a family spends less than they did before. The saving is still technically there, but it is now dangled on the other side of a spending threshold that did not used to exist. Parents who had built this into their weekly routine said, in their own words across dozens of forums and review threads, that this was the specific moment they stopped going. Not rising prices, generally. Not any big headline. Just this one quiet change to something they had relied on for years. And it never made the news. McDonald's did not need it to. Because if you change something small enough, gradually enough, most people only notice when it is already too late to do anything about it. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually try to get the food. If you order through a delivery app, you're taking on a set of risks that nobody mentions when you tap the order through. Fries gone entirely from a sealed bag that was supposedly checked before it left. Food arriving cold because nobody in the chain seems responsible for the time between kitchen and door. Drinks arriving soaking wet on the outside, dripping through the packaging and onto everything else in the bag, with no explanation offered for why it keeps happening with such consistency. These are not random one-star reviews from people who had a bad day. They are the same complaint, written in different words, across platform after platform, by people describing the same experience over and over again. And then there are the paper straws. In 2018, McDonald's switched all of its UK's and Ireland restaurants over to paper straws as part of a push to reduce plastic waste. The intention behind it was not unreasonable. At the time, an estimated 8.5 billion plastic straws were being discarded across the country every year, and something needed to change. The problem was the execution. The paper straws started dissolving in milkshakes within seconds, leaving customers unable to finish a drink before the straw fell apart in their hand. More than 42,000 people signed a petition asking for the plastic ones back. Some customers got frustrated enough to start sourcing the old plastic straws secondhand online, but here is the part that is genuinely hard to defend. When the BBC and other outlets reported on the change at the time, they found that the paper straws were not actually being recycled. They were being sent to general waste and incinerated alongside everything else. Customers were given a worse product, told it was the responsible choice, and the environmental benefit it was supposed to deliver never materialized. A worse experience, a worse outcome for the planet, and nobody was ever required to account for that gap. On the 1st of December 2025, environmental health officers from Calderdale Council inspected the McDonald's on Old Market in Halifax and gave it a hygiene rating of 0. On the Food Standards Agency scale, 0 is the lowest score a UK food business can receive. The reason cited was straightforward: no hot water at the hand washing sinks. In a kitchen serving hundreds of customers a day, hot water at the sinks is not optional. It is one of the most fundamental hygiene requirements there is. McDonald's attribute it to a faulty boiler. What is harder to explain is what happened next. That 0 rating remained on the record through the entire month of December, through the Christmas period, and into the new year. The restaurant was not re-inspected and brought back up to a 4 rating until the 19th of March 2026. That is 3.5 months of trading through one of the busiest periods of the year while carrying the worst hygiene score the system allows. And the story barely left the regional press. Most customers walking in during that period would have had no idea unless they thought to check the rating displayed on the door, and most people never do. This is one branch out of roughly 1,050 across the UK and Ireland. It would not be fair to apply it to every restaurant in the chain. But it is a real, dated, council-confirmed example of what happens when operational costs get squeezed hard enough at the franchise level. The kind of problem that does not show up on a revenue chart until it has already damaged something that cannot be bought back. Trust. You are still here, which tells me you're taking this seriously. So let's make this count. If someone in your life is still spending money at McDonald's every week without knowing any of this, send them this video right now. Not later. Right now, while you're thinking about it. You could be the person who saves someone real money and real peace of mind. And while you're at it, hit subscribe so you never miss when we dig into something like this again. Every single video we make starts with the question, what are people not being told? And this channel is where those answers go. Now, let's talk about what happened to McDonald's position in the market, because it is not just customer complaints pulling this brand backwards. The competition has caught up, and in some places already overtaken it. Back in 2023, Greggs became the most popular breakfast destination in the UK. They took 19.6% of the entire food-to-go breakfast market and pushed McDonald's off the top spot. That gap has not closed since. Not in 2024, not in 2025. Greggs' pre-tax profit jumped over 13% that year to close to $170 million, and the company has been opening well over 100 new stores every year since. A bakery chain that started by delivering bread to mining communities in Newcastle now runs nearly 2,500 locations in the UK, more than McDonald's, with a breakfast meal deal that still starts under $3. In a YouGov survey published this year, British consumers were asked, which chain serves the best burger? McDonald's came third, behind Burger King, and behind Five Guys, an American brand that did not open its first UK restaurant in Covent Garden until 2013, has just over 160 locations here, and recently secured $185 million in fresh investment specifically to keep expanding, with its chief executive describing the UK as a clear sign of the strength of the brand. At the same time, McDonald's has been spending on advertising at a level that raises its own questions. In December 2025, the Food Foundation named McDonald's as the single biggest spender on outdoor food advertising. In the UK, $86 million on billboards and posters in 2024 alone. That is a 71% increase since 2021. The timing lines up directly with new regulations banning less healthy food adverts on television before 9 p.m. and online entirely. When those channels closed down, McDonald's shifted its budget to the ones still left open, posters and billboards that carry no equivalent restrictions. Around the same period, the marketing director brought in specifically to improve the UK operations effectiveness was giving interviews to the trade press saying that buying more advertising no longer works on its own. That person? Ben Fox, appointed in January 2025 after the company's global chief executive told investors directly that the UK needed better marketing, was gone by April of this year. Less than 12 months in the role, no replacement named at the time of publication. Spending more on advertising than ever before, while the person hired to make the advertising work walks out before the year is over, is not a sign of a company that has figured out its strategy. It is a sign of one still searching for an answer to a question that more spending alone cannot solve. The price of a McDonald's cheeseburger held at 99 pence for 14 years. In July 2022, that ended. The then chief executive said publicly that costs had become too much to keep absorbing, and the 99p price point was gone for good. What followed was a steady climb across the menu. Newer additions, like the Big Arch, are positioned and priced as premium products. But McDonald's was never a premium brand. It was a cheap, fast, reliable one. And those two things, premium pricing, budget reputation, do not sit comfortably together in the mind of the customer who used to go there specifically because it was affordable. Since April 2022, UK food businesses with more than 250 employees are legally required to display calorie counts on every item. That law applies directly to McDonald's, and the numbers now sit next to every item on the menu. The Big Arch, the Burger McDonald's, has pushed hardest as its flagship premium edition carries 1,500 calories for the burger alone, before a single side or drink is added. That number sits within a broader and increasingly well-established body of evidence about what regularly consuming heavily processed food does to long-term health outcomes. Research drawing on the UK Biobank, studies published in The Lancet and eClinical Medicine, and a major umbrella review published in the British Medical Journal in 2024, covering 45 separate analyses and close to 10 million people, consistently found that higher intake of ultra-processed food is linked to significantly higher risks of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, and poor mental health outcomes. In some high-income countries, including the UK, ultra-processed food now makes up an estimated 58% of what the average person eats in a day. None of this means a single visit causes harm. The researchers themselves describe these as associations, not certainties. But it does mean the calorie number next to the burger is not just a number for the curious. It is the legally required surface of a much larger conversation about what a pattern of this kind of eating looks like. And then there's the ice cream machine. The joke has been running for years. It is still true today. The website macbroken.com tracks the live status of ice cream machines across McDonald's locations in real time, and on a typical day, somewhere between 10 and 15% of all machines on the map show up as broken. London, Manchester, and cities across the country show up red regularly. The problem is not simply that the machines break, it is that for decades the machines have been supplied by a company whose repair contracts meant only their own approved technicians were allowed to fix them. Franchise owners had to wait days for an official call-out rather than diagnose a simple fault themselves. An independent diagnostic tool was built specifically to help. McDonald's sent legal notices to franchises warning against using it. In the United States, regulatory pressure from the Federal Trade Commission eventually led to a copyright exemption in October 2024. There is no equivalent change in the UK. The exclusive arrangement remains. Franchise owners still do not have the freedom to fix their own equipment. And if you are heading to a McDonald's for a McFlurry this summer, the map is worth checking before you make the trip. From the 17th of March this year, McDonald's quietly raised the points threshold for its loyalty scheme's first reward tier. That alone means customers need to spend roughly a third more than before to earn the same free item. But there was a second change running alongside it that most people did not catch immediately. Points now expire after 6 months instead of 12. Build up your points slowly, the way the scheme always encouraged, and there is now a real chance they disappear. Two changes like that are not a coincidence. They are two different mechanisms achieving the same result, making the reward harder to actually reach, while keeping the scheme's headline existence intact. McDonald's loyalty members generate tens of billions in sales globally. The UK scheme has just been made measurably less generous for the people using it. Pull into a McDonald's drive-thru, place even the simplest order, and there's a real chance you will be directed away. You are directed into a numbered parking bay to wait. The reason is speed of service metrics. Time at the drive-thru window is one of the most closely tracked numbers in fast food. The moment a car is moved into a bay, the clock stops on that transaction. The food might not be ready, but the number that gets reported up the chain looks better. Workers have described this openly as a metric management strategy, and it connects directly to the experience customers describe waiting in car parks scattered with litter. Sitting at tables that have not been cleared in spaces that do not look like anyone has taken responsibility. The problem is not the person working the floor. The problem is a system that prioritizes the number on a dashboard. And underneath every single thing we have covered today sits the same central failure. For a company that built its entire identity on being fast, getting a McDonald's in the UK just is not fast anymore. That is not about one broken machine. It is the accumulated weight of all of it together, creating a feeling that the brand no longer does what it always said it did. And yet, in its 50th anniversary report for the UK and Ireland, McDonald's announced plans to invest $1 billion. They plan to open 200 new restaurants across the country. A company that has lost the breakfast market to a bakery chain is still expanding faster than it has in years. Maybe that is genuine confidence in a turnaround that has not been visible yet. Or maybe it is a land grab. Betting that habit will keep people coming. Either way, every new restaurant that opens is the same company we have just spent this video talking about. And as of right now, none of what we have covered has been fixed. Here is the most powerful thing you can do in the next 60 seconds. Share this video, send it to someone who eats McDonald's every week and has no idea how much the deal has shifted. Post it somewhere. People who should see it actually will. The weight of attention makes change. Silence stops being the cheaper option when enough people pay attention for long enough. Subscribe while you're here, because this kind of deep dive is what we do, and the next one is coming. The golden arches have not moved, but the question is whether the order is worth what you give.